advisor or a consultant, it's the CEO. It's running the show. It's cooking the books. And the thing is, okay, if you get to a point where the irritability and restlessness and discomfort is enough, and you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, it has an incredible second lock, which is an axiom that self can't get out of self. Yeah? So let's say in recovery we say that the alcoholic and the addict doesn't have a problem, they are the problem. Now, if you are the problem, then it doesn't look like there's much of a solution, is it? Yeah? But in the statement in recovery it says, we are 100 men and women who have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. And if you look up the word seemingly, it says it appears to be true or false to you. That's the definition of it. You don't understand, maybe you do, how much power you are here. Everything is being given the meaning by you in this life. Everything you come in contact with, you never actually meet that thing. What you meet is the meaning you're giving to it. Yeah? That meaning can be distributed by self-centeredness, which a lot of us have been under for quite a while, and we're sick and tired of the same old, same old. We followed all the formulas it offers. We just changed partners, expecting the same thing to work, if we just changed the parts. We've gone over every inch of self-centeredness. We've listened to all the promises, all the advertisements, and we're still seeking. We're still seeking solutions. So I guess we haven't found a real one yet. Yeah? What would happen if the problem, why, let's say you are the problem, and I'm not saying you are, but let's say in recovery, why you are the problem is such an incredible problem, and yet the solution at the same time. Because the solution is, the problem is identification as a self. The solution is, there is no self. Yeah? As far as the mind obsessed, it can never actually create the self. Because you are something already. I'd say you're nothing already. You know? You're more of a formless nature than you are of a mental or a physical nature. Yes? So all the mind can do, the mental process can do, is produce or infer or assume or imply that there's someone home. But have you ever seen that someone? When you say, who am I, does something show up? Or do you hear a little voice in the head say, me? Well, then you ask, who is that me? Have you seen anything show up? Is it in your elbow? Where are you? So what would happen? So here's the problem, is if the identification is in place. If it's seen not to be so, that's the solution. Yeah? What would happen if I saw a thought as not mine? I'd probably lose interest in it. Especially if it was about something that's not actually happening. Yeah? And suddenly, I'd have immunity to what's not happening. What more would I need to do? Would I need to have any more solutions after I saw that it wasn't happening? And how quick would that take? It'd be pretty abrupt, yeah? If I was like a therapist and my specialty was dealing with what's not happening, I'd have the shortest sessions of all. You'd come in, you'd start your little spiel, I'd interrupt you, hey, that's not happening, and that would be it. Like 1 minute. You know? Maybe you could run over me for a few minutes, I'd still say, after 10 minutes, that's not happening. And if I let you go for 55 minutes, that's definitely not happening. Yeah? And the principle would stay the same. At least acknowledge that it's not happening. Yeah? At least start from a premise that's somewhat true. Yeah? And then if it persists, maybe get some help. But at least start from the truth of the situation. It is not happening. I'm not seeing it. I'm not hearing it. I'm not feeling it. I'm not tasting it. I'm not touching it. I'm thinking about it. And I'm saying, we're not even doing that. We're not the thinker. Yeah? It's so funny. Let's say if I came in here and we're having this talk, and then I say, oh, I got to stop. I forgot to digest that burrito I had earlier. I'll be back in about, the big burrito, it was El Grande. It'll take about an hour. I have to leave and then go, and oh, I remembered the pizza. I should have ate that piece of pizza yesterday. You know, I would never leave my house. I'd have to be busy digesting all day. You know, and then we'd go, ha, 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 that's so funny. But then there's a much subtler process that the brain is doing, and we believe we're the doer of it, thinking. We actually believe we're thinking. All right, I'm getting ready to think. Hold on. I can see it coming. I can see the thinking coming. You know? No, it appears there's something, acknowledge it. It's not you, it's consciousness. Consciousness is what illuminates the thought through hearing. You hear it. Yeah, it's not you. You're an afterthought. The conscious contact occurs, and then the mental process says it's a you that heard it. Yeah? Then what happens is the mental process, because it stakes that claim, your life starts from that interpretive point. And what happens is all the spontaneity, all that wonder and awe when you were a baby or a kid is on the other side, on the conscious contact level. Yeah? And you're trying to get back there, but you're trying to get back there by the sense, as this sense of self. That sense of self can't go there. The sense of self is limited by the process that's making it. It can't transcend the mental process and land in conscious contact and now re-engage and reinvigorate itself with that wonder of awe of just feeling, seeing, hearing, tasting, touching. It can't do it. It cannot do it. If it ever left, if it ever left the mental process, it would disappear, and it wasn't even appearing. It can only appear through a process called this selfing. Yeah. When you have a moment, a peak moment, or you have that beautiful moment, let's say you're having sex, or for me, surfing or something like that, when you're totally engaged in the seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching, the water, the smell, the sound going on, there's the absence of selfing. It's not as predominant, and those are the best moments of your freaking life, yeah? But what happens is the selfing reinvigorates, says, I'm the one who's surfing, and then it wants to try to capture that, which it can never capture because it wasn't there. That's what you were feeling. You were feeling life in the presence of the absence of self. What a lot of people want to do, they want to be there to experience their own absence. It's not going to happen. What is inherently absent cannot be there to experience its own absence. It's a recognition that it's absent, inherently absent, and then you sense the presence of what you were sensing when you were a kid. The conscious contact of life. Yeah. With no middleman or middlewoman, just the interface. What does it do for you? Find out. Yeah? This is just a simple invitation. There's no draft here. There's no inscription. There's nothing. We're just inviting you to entertain a possibility. Maybe just take one little step. Are all these thoughts yours? And are you the thinker of them? I had a great experience of it with recovery. Most people in deep addiction are in a huge shell of terminal uniqueness. They don't feel, no one thinks like me, no one feels like me, no one's done the heinous things that I've done. And it's all well and good when you're isolated. The belief is really, really powerful. You go to meetings, and what people at meetings do is talk about their feelings, their thoughts, and their reactions to life. And then you start hearing them, and you can only come to two conclusions. How did this guy get my thoughts? I go to India, I go to a meeting in India, you feel just like I feel. How's that possible? I'm from New York, you're from India. Yeah? Then you realize, either Jesus, they're not mine. They're not my thoughts. These aren't my feelings. They're being generated by an alcoholism. Just like all our thoughts and feelings are being generated by self-centeredness. Alcoholism is just an extreme subdivision of self-centeredness. That's all. It just paints with a broader stroke. That's all it is. We're more insane. That's about it. We're more touchy. And we create more damage. Yeah? But it's basically the original addiction is the mind's addiction to the idea of being a long-lasting, independent, separate entity. Yeah? That's the addiction. It can never complete the mission, and if you've ever lived with a desire that was thwarted, and it would continually was thwarted, man, how many pints of Agendas have you eaten? When you've gone out and that person you want to meet didn't like you. You go, eat, shop, this and that, because what happens is, one desire is thwarted, other desires spawn. It's exactly what happens with addictions. You want to get out of the discomfort, irritability of restlessness, of being the center of a mental world, being this planet Paul, and so you find alcohol or drugs. It gives you a little relief, but it bonds you even more to the idea of being a self. And therefore then, let's say you get sober, then it springs into pornography. Or you start trying to go out with your friends' girlfriends. Or you start, shopping, spending way too much money. And the addictive mind just keeps spreading and spreading and spreading, because the original disease hasn't been seen. The identification as a self. Yeah? Solution. And from the solution's point of view, the highest level the problem can arise to is it appears to be so. Yeah? In a sense, it's inherently imaginary. You have to imagine it into existence by listening to the thought system all day. Yeah? So from the solution's point of view, the problem is imaginary. This is what's so beautiful about it. So here, the problem's real, you need a real solution. When you find the real solution, it points out the problem's imaginary. Then you don't even need a solution. This is so economical, you don't add one bit. It's all being economized, all pared down. You travel lighter and lighter and lighter. You don't have to try to be in the moment. You realize you can't be out of the moment. Yeah? You're not trying to get out of self because you realize you can never possibly be in a self. Yeah? So take that, meetup. Meet up with that. Does it take two? No. That's the good news. Is there a path? No. Whatever path you are, it will illuminate. This is not a path to illumination. It illuminates paths. Whatever life you have, this will illuminate it. Yeah. But you can't use a path to find it. It won't work. But it will illuminate all paths that you're on here. It's not an artificial light. It's your own light. It's like here, if Rob turned off the lights right now, and lock the door, Rob, too, lock the door. Turn off the lights right now, a lot of problems would ensue from the lack of light, yes? Let's say if I wanted to go to the bathroom, I couldn't see the door. And if I got up, I may hit the chair, and I hurt my knee, and I step on people's feet, and they start yelling at me. And then some smart guy, some entrepreneur would start trying to sell maps of where the bathroom is, I saw it one day a year ago when the lights were on. I think if you go to the left here, give me $5 first. If you go to the left here, I think it's down the hallway, all right? Or it's catheters they'd sell you or something. Everyone starts getting knee pads, and they have I proclaim I'm sorry before I hurt anyone when I'm trying to go to where I want to go, or like this. All these problems would ensue, and we'd have a lot of solutions for all the problems, which would... But instead, just find the light switch. Yeah? Turn on the light. Turn on the light. Do I need a map to the bathroom? I know it. I can see. Am I going to hit the chair? No, I can see. I don't have to say I'm sorry before anything happens. I'm probably not going to step on Tanya's toes. Yeah? All I needed was light. I needed illumination. You're the light switch. You're your own source of light. Other people can invite you. They cannot supply it. Some great master says you have to be a light upon yourself. Of course. How could it be any other way? Yeah. This is not teaching. The only thing I can teach is about what we're not. You can't teach about what you are. You can only find out about what you are. You cannot teach about it. No freaking way. You can teach about what you're not, and then by learning about what you're not, you may forget about what you're not, and that's how you find out about what you are. Like in a great master in Buddhism said, Dogen from Japan Buddhism said, to study Buddhism is to study the self, and to study the self is to forget the self. Yeah? Why do you need to forget the self? Because it's remembered. It doesn't exist. It has to be remembered to seem so. So the antidote that is to forget it. When you forget it, what happens? The remembering stops and its influences diminish greatly. And you have a natural immunity to what's not happening because you're engaged in what's happening. This has a huge pull. You're being pulled through 5 gates: seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching. And the underlying consciousness that's available through that seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching, you get an intimacy of what's so, the presence of that spirit, if you want to call it. It's more than sufficient to give you immunity to an imaginary mental realm. That you have to travel by only one route through thought. But if you're not here, you'll be there. If the heist is probably already complete, this here is now a mental here. It's a mental here, full of there and then. You never are in the mental here. It's always there and then. It's totally influenced by was and will be. You can learn by one thought. The whole thought system is drenched in time. Don't you ever feel like you're being pushed constantly? If you found peace today, you wouldn't be able to rest there. You'd be worried, I may not have it tomorrow. Yeah. If you find love today, you're afraid that love's going to walk out. Yes? Time has so much dominance in our ability. We can't stop. We can't pause. We're constantly being moved. If that ain't slavery, I don't know what is. You know, you work really hard to have a day off. Let's say you work really hard to go to Hawaii. You get to Hawaii and all you think about is your job. And while you're in your job, all you think about is Hawaii. I mean, Jesus Christ. All I've been thinking about is Hawaii. I get to Hawaii, all I think about is the job. Jeez. I'm going to stop thinking about the job. Yes, that's also thinking about the job. Yeah? Self can't get out of self. You can't use mind to find mind. You can't use the Buddha to find the Buddha. You are the Buddha. And it's not concentrated. It's not vigilance. It's relaxed awareness. It's a diffusing. Your mind diffuses. It opens up. Your aperture opens up. Almost you can have a sense of it going toon, 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 toon. And you start seeing, like Panavision-wise. Yeah. And in this, what you're seeing from here is very, very limited. This little tunnel vision. There's tons of possibilities outside the periphery. All it needs is to be entertained, to become so in your life. But we're defined by this frame of self-centeredness. And everything looks like, my friend was saying, like a snapshot, a little individual picture. But when the frame weakens, you'll see it's a whole giant mural. Life is just one huge moment. Yeah? We put in all the partitions and the separations and the cutting and the time and the months and the years and this and that. Where did it? We did it. We're doing it. We're cutting up to a point where it's not recognizable. We put so many lines on the wholeness, we miss the wholeness. It's like, how many people were at your last cafe? Did anyone hear a conversation about the effects of gravity in that cafe? Was someone saying, oh, you know, gravity, I feel it today in my shoulder. It's really pushing this way. Yeah, I see it. Your shoulder's a little lower than it was yesterday. Gravity's out to get you today, you know? No one says it at all, because in the physicality, you're always feeling the pressure of gravity. You don't know it. You have to go into an anti-gravity state to have an experience, and then you know what gravity's like. After you've had it, its effects relieved, yeah? When you have the effects of gravity relieved, then you know about gravity, exactly about selfing. When you're relieved of its effects, even for a moment, you start learning about it. You can't learn from underneath it. That's one level of knowledge, but it doesn't serve you. It doesn't lead you from freedom from that. The other knowledge leads you to freedom from it because you recognize it. And if you can see it, you cannot possibly be it. If you're seeing it, you cannot possibly be what you're seeing. Yeah. fired up. Sometimes you gotta put your foot down. It's a slimy thing.